Welcome into another episode of the Roll Tide Rewind. Breaking down some Alabama basketball. We're going to look at the Alabama defense today. It won't be a too terribly long video. We're just going to look at some inconsistencies and how those possibly could be fixed. Cole is back with us again today, fresh off a trip to Norman, Oklahoma, where Alabama had a decisive victory against the Sooners. But we're just going to jump right on into the big issue for Alabama's basketball team. I think it's offensive rebounding. Don't know what Cole thinks. We'll get to him in a second. But I think a lot of possessions by teams are getting extended because of offensive rebounds, especially in the last 3 games, SEC games against Texas, Mississippi State, and Oklahoma. Texas out-rebounded Alabama by 10. They out-rebounded them. They had 18 offensive rebounds to Alabama's 13. Against Mississippi State, Alabama did out-rebound them 47-43. They did lose the offensive rebound battle 10-15. And then against Oklahoma, they lost the rebounding battle by 2, but they lost the offensive rebounding battle 17-14. So that's 3 straight games of allowing at least 15 offensive rebounds. And you see on a lot of these possessions here how, like, whether it's early in the game, later in the game, it just looks like there's not a lot of effort getting put into the offensive rebounding, and this like the laziness is almost allowing the other teams to get extra opportunities. But also I think a part of it is sometimes we just don't have the right guys in down low. What do you think about the rebounding, Cole?
Yeah, it's a problem. The one thing I will say is that I don't want to say it's necessarily a problem by design, but it's definitely not an issue that it seems like Nate Oates has ever really been focused on. I think we're much more willing to put resources, whether that be players we recruit, NIL, that sort of stuff, into people that can shoot and people that can score are the biggest things we're focusing on. I think a lot of times some of the rebounding stuff gets kind of pushed to the wayside. It's kind of similar to what I mentioned earlier, where we haven't really had a ton of 5 men who have been like stars at Alabama. I think a lot of that is kind of by design. I think the much more important parts of the NATO system are the shooting and the scoring. With that being said, this year is worse than most years under NATO. Let me hit you with a little trivia question here, Thomas, okay, as well as the people watching. Do you know who leads Alabama in defensive rebound percentage this year?
Okay, I'm going to let everybody think of their answer.
Yep.
And then I'm going to answer with – oh, no. Okay. I'm looking at the players on the court and the video, and I'm just thinking, like, which guy makes the most sense? But then every guy I look at, I don't have a confident answer in.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go with Amari. Is it Amari? I would be confident in Amari Allen is my answer.
Amari Allen is correct. And that okay. Makes sense based on the eye test. He feels like the only person that really goes out of his way, really hustles for rebounds. And I think that's showing up obviously in the stats. I think it shows up on film as well. But you would expect generally your 5-man or even really your 4-man to be the leading rebounder, where Amari can play the 4 sometimes, but a lot of times he plays the 3 as well. So I think that kind of shows a lot of the lack of really solid rebounders we have. I think the other thing that causes us a lot of issues is Aiden Sherrell is obviously the person that plays the vast majority of the minutes at the 5. Mm-hmm. His biggest attribute is his shot blocking. So I think a lot of times when he's going to try to block shots, I think it gets him out of position for rebounding. And I think that's what kind of hurts us. So another place where it's like, I don't like that we're not rebounding very well, but I think there might be a reason behind it. So it's not something I think is going to – it could definitely be a problem when we get to deeper into SEC play and NCAA tournament and all the rest of the season. But I think it's one that we can – hopefully some of our strengths will shine through enough to mask that particular weakness.
Yeah, and even in like the big games this year in November, early December, when we lost to Purdue, Gonzaga, and Arizona, we averaged 32 rebounds a game. The opponents, those 3 opponents, averaged 50.7.
Yeah.
Offensive rebounds, we averaged 7.7. The other teams of Arizona, Gonzaga, and Purdue averaged 20.3. So I fear the Florida game that comes up in 2 weeks. We'll talk about that tomorrow in our mid-season SEC predictions for Alabama, the rest of their schedule. But I fear the Florida game, and it's a lot to do. Like, obviously, they have a lot of star power in their front court. But Yeah, it's going to have to be a lot of effort thing. Now, in Ken Palm, Alabama currently ranks, have it on my sheet here. We are 65th in Ken Palm in defense, where that compares to other years. Nate's first year, we were 114th. Bad, but not expecting much. We then jumped to third. That's Herb Jones' senior year. 92nd in 2021, 2022. That was the team that lost to Cormac Ryan and Notre Dame's team in the first round of the tournament. Then 2022, 2023 was the Brandon Miller year, finished third again. Final 4 year, 111th. And the thing is with that team, you look at that team as being a bad defensive team, but when it came to it, especially in the tournament, that team came together very good on defense. Like they weren't great, but they certainly weren't bad. In the Grand Canyon game, the North Carolina game, the Clemson game, they came through when they needed to. And then last year, Alabama was 28th, which is higher than I thought it would be. And then we're 65th this year. So, like I said, the Final Four team that finished 111th in defense efficiency, they came through when they needed to. So that's what this team is going to have to do at 65th, unlike the 2021-2022 team that was 92nd and lost in the first round. So that's your difference. Is this going to be a team that gets bounced in the first round, or is this a team that's going to be a team that's going to be able to make a run in the tournament? Mm-hmm. We'll go on to the next part here. Alabama this next part here is Alabama kind of just getting lost on defense. I've seen it a time or two this year, especially with 3-point shooting, how they're kind of leaving guys open. And it's not, some of these are strategic. Like Alabama has shown in Nate Oates' defensive mindset that if a guy is not a good shooter, we just leave him alone. But there's sometimes where these guys that are good shooters are finding opens. Like, for example, Pope from Texas had a lot of open threes against Alabama. But 3-point shooting wise, in the SEC games so far, Oklahoma shot 25%. Nigel Pack had open shots. He was just missing, in my opinion. He had some opportunities. Mississippi State was 9 of 28, 32%. Texas was 10 of 24 from the field. And then Vandy was 7 of 20, which is 35%. So they were very efficient with their threes almost. And then Kentucky not great. They were 4 of 19. Kentucky hasn't been great this year. That's another episode if I want to talk about Kentucky and their basketball team. But what do you think about, I guess, the mislapses on defense? Sometimes these happen. Like, you're not going to play perfect defense, obviously, every single possession. But what do you think about the mislapses on defense, Cole?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think it's a problem that we've seen a lot. We lose people. I don't know. To me, I don't think it's the biggest problem because, like you said, I think lapses happen. I think maybe they're more with this team than with some of our previous teams, but on the whole, I don't think we do a great job of covering people. But I think the biggest issue that we're having is that I don't think most of especially our guards, have very little length. So to me, when I think about the best defenses we've had under Nate Oates, the ones that immediately come to mind are the Herb Jones year in 2021 and the Brandon Miller year in 2023. Both of those teams, we had guards we had point guards that are 6'4" or so, wings that are 6'6", 6'7", that are long and quick and could stay in front of their man one-on-one. I don't think this team has that. LeBaron has decent size for the point guard position, but I don't think he's a particularly good defender. And then Holloway, very small. Amari Allen has length, but he's not particularly quick, I don't think. Even Latrell Reitzel, missing him has been a problem because he is one of the few guys that I think is good at staying in front of his man one-on-one. But I think a lot of these, especially lapses, they start because somebody gets beat off the dribble immediately, and then you're trying to play catch-up, trying to get to everybody, and it's just impossible because you're basically playing 5-on-4. So to me, I think – and unfortunately, it's not really a problem that's fixable. You can't have your guys grow longer arms over the course of this season. But it's something we're going to have to kind of play around because I don't think we have many very good individual defenders. Nate Oates, he's a very, very good offensive schemer. I don't think he's as good defensively, and I don't think that's a hot take necessarily. Most of our teams are better offensively than defensively. So I think it's just something we're going to have to score a lot, and that's going to be the way to make our defense better is if we're scoring more than we're giving up.
Yeah. I think what I'm seeing a lot of these plays, especially these next two coming up, we're not communicating well off of screens.
Yeah.
Bethia doesn't get off the screen well there. Sherrell's already backed up, anticipating the big coming, and then that's an easy
I also
shot.
think that's a moving screen, by the way. I think that's the bigger issue.
Yeah, that's the bigger issue, almost taking Bethia out on the floor. But the next one, this is a good one to see between, I think that's LeBaron and Keaton Bristow. But that's Duke Miles is a great shooter for Vanderbilt. He's one of their better players, and the miscommunication of going with the big and leaving him open from three is not ideal, especially and also start the game too. Momentum is kind of up for grabs at this point, and there's a miscommunication there. And I think I've seen that a lot on screens this year is we're not communicating well of who are we going to drop down to, especially right here, and that brings in Amari, and that leaves another guy wide open for three.
Yep.
So
definitely, and I wonder if that could go back to the issues we've had with people staying healthy. When you have all these different combinations of guys out on the court at different times, it could be a problem for communication. No insider information on that. That's just a general wondering by me if that could be contributing to that problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, London Jimison's now starting games. Like, I mean, that probably wasn't his plan to begin with. Not saying London's a bad player at all, but he's getting there. I think he's shown promise on defense, but also he's young. He's still trying to figure it out. And then also the last part we're talking about liabilities on defense. Sorry to show Darion Reed getting hurt there. He played good. But noticing a lot with some of these bigs that we have coming in, like Aiden Sherrell, like I'm not gonna show any cool blocks in this highlight reel, but we're losing a lot of guys in transition. We are not getting much adequate play out of our bigs besides Aiden Sherrell. You can see here on this play, like to end the half, this is a momentum boosting play. No one picks up Tyler Nickel there, another great Vanderbilt player at the end of the half, but also we're getting dominated in the paint. You saw Toby Awaka have a good game against us, which he's going to have a good game against a lot of people. But and then the bigs, Kaufman Wren from Purdue, he's going to have good games too. But it showed very well. Like offensive rebounding showed badly in those games for Alabama. But then also the paint is kind of open a lot of the times. Last year, Cliff and Grant were great players. Cliff was great at anchoring the defense. Grant was a body you could throw at people. He wasn't the best defender, but he was a body you could throw at people. We just don't have that this year. Aiden Sherrell is great, block great, I think top 10 in the country, but we are missing that this year. And also, like we talked about the liabilities as well. There's a few players on the team that Cole will name for me in just a little bit that just when they're on the court, things kind of just are not going to work well for Alabama. Cole, you want to mention those guys for me?
Do I have to be the bad guy?
Yeah, I gotta be someone I gotta be able to defend them,
Yeah, I mean, I think the guy you're trying to get me to refer to here is Noah Williamson, which I think is fair. I definitely don't think he's a particularly strong defender. But I think the biggest problem with Noah Williamson to me is his offense more so than his defense. I also think he looks a little bit worse by comparison because I do think Sherrell is a good defender. Keaton Bristow I think is decent defensively as well. So when he comes on the court, he's kind of the third best defender. To me, I think the bigger liability for me, and we talked very positively about him in the last video. I think he's been fantastic this year, but I think Aiden Holloway has been a bit of a liability defensively, and a lot of it I don't think is his fault. I mean, he can't be bigger, right? Like he's 6 foot, he's small. It makes it tough to play defense. But I do think he's had a few mental lapses this year. I think he struggles. He gets beat off the ball decently, and most of the time he's making up for it on offense. So that's why I think to me it's a bigger liability because I think he has to play. So it's going to be something you're going to have to deal with. Like I'm hoping if Bristow gets healthy, if we get more confident with Bull Bowen at the 5, Aiden Sherrell starts playing some more. Hopefully Noah Williamson shouldn't have to play significant minutes, but we need Aiden Holloway to play significant minutes. And if so, it means he's going to be one-on-one defensively a lot. So we hope to see some improvement there. And I do think he's slightly better than he was last year, which is good. But on the whole, I think he's given us some issues defensively.
Yeah, there's a lot of like the biggest props I'll give someone on defense is Aiden Sherrell, and I think Amari Allen hustles very well. I give those two a lot of credit, but yeah, I mean, at least I can give some people credit. When Alabama was ranked 111th in defensive efficiency that year, I don't know if I could give anyone credit on the defensive end, but I can at least give a few guys credit this year.
Yeah, and that's a good point. This to me doesn't feel like a bad defense, and I think the numbers support it. This feels like a decent defense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not like the Kentucky game in 2020, early 2024. We talked about how like Kentucky won the game. What was like at 100 and like they scored like 117 points to 95, and they were still scoring efficiently even with their walk-ons in the game. So yeah, that like it's. I don't think we're that level of bad. Like I mean, I think we've given up 100. Did we get? I think we gave up 100 to Arizona, but like Arizona's undefeated. Like it's not a bad loss, and it's like you got beat pretty badly by them, but certainly not a bad loss to have as Arizona.
We have not given up 100 all year.
Okay, cool.
Arizona scored 96. St. John scored 96. Vanderbilt scored 96. So those were the three highest.
Yeah, and Alabama did beat St. John's. They overcame the 96, and they were close to beating Vanderbilt too. They were just a little bit behind. Arizona wasn't as close, but that one was not as close. But anything else you want to add on the defensive side?
No, nothing for me. I think we covered it.
Yeah, I think the same. But if Alabama is to make a run in the tournament, kind of like in 2024, going to have to anchor down on the defensive side, which we've seen them do it before. It's just going to have. Are we going to see them do it again? Check back in tomorrow for our midseason predictions on the rest of Alabama's SEC schedule and how we can see how Alabama will end up in March. Until then, hope everybody has a great rest of their week, and roll Tide.
Roll Tide.